Welcome to the 32nd episode of Teachers Glasses Presents Bollywood Talkies with Outlook. I'm your host, Mitrajit Bhattacharya, and it's my pleasure to invite the powerhouse of talent and one of the finest actors of our generation, Tapsi Pannu, back on Teachers Glasses Presents Bollywood Talkies with Outlook.
Hi.
A tough year has just come to an end. What would you control alt delete from 2020, and what would you save and copy for the rest of your life?
I would control alt delete the kind of hatred and toxicity that was there in 2020 in probably every sphere of life, be it on our social media to the kind of visuals we saw where migrants had to struggle so much for like months to just survive somehow. All those things, I just hope I can delete all of that, and then I would like to continue or preserve the that whole emotional balance that has changed inside after that 2020 experience, that where you start valuing a basic gesture like a hug. You start valuing those basic gestures of life, of shaking hands, hugging someone, meeting people in person. The times we are in times where even if we are sitting next to each other, everyone's into their gadgets, and now the God gave you time to just be with your gadgets and not really your friends in person. So you realize that how much you probably miss just sitting with your friends and family next to you physically. So I think those moments, I mean, that learning I would like to keep with me in the future as well.
So, do you think handling of the migrants has been the biggest collective failure of the nation?
Yeah, it has been. And I think rather than pointing at anyone else, I like to understand where did you go wrong, like what you could
Right,
have done. So
right.
I think it was a collective failure at all levels. We just couldn't take care of our own. We talk about nationalism, we talk about the love for our country. And what is love for your country? I think love for your country is where you love the people of your country, where
Right.
you do a lot for the people of your country. What did you do for the people of the country? So when they were walking back and then they were struggling to eat a meal, so struggling to be accepted back in their houses, so many of them were thrown out of their houses. So what did you do for your countrymen actually will define your nationalism.
You did your bit by lending your voice to Pravasi. Whose idea was it, and how did it come about?
See, that was no, I wouldn't even say that was a bit. It was literally nothing, but this was something as an actor who's probably been given this platform, to an actor who has that power by virtue of being a public figure to talk about a topic which can be communicated to masses. I use that power that I had to just communicate that there is a problem. If you're not able to see it now, I don't know when will you see anything. So I used that power given to me by the virtue of being a public figure to the optimum I could at that point by just communicating. What I do about it as a citizen is something that I know, my conscience knows, and I don't really do that. I don't do charity to display. So, keeping that aside, yes, as an actor, I did lend my voice there to Pravasi. I did speak about it at multiple platforms where I think all the Indians all over are watching to know that this is a major crisis that we are facing. Our own people don't feel like they are at in their own country or being loved enough in their own country. So that needed to be probably brought to the forefront, and I'm glad I could contribute my two bits to it by lending my voice.
And how did it come about? I mean, whose idea was it?
It was Kirit sir's idea. It was totally his idea, and I had just briefly met him a couple of times before, and I'm very glad that in those very brief meetings he felt that I could do justice to it. So it's not like we've been in touch or something. We've just formally met at one or two occasions, and then he picked up the call one day and asked me to if I could do this. And I was like, I'll be more than happy to do it if it really makes a difference, or if my voice you think will justify it. I would love to do it, and yeah, I did it. So I think that was what it was.
You are a migrant yourself, having moved to Mumbai for work. Was it tougher for people living alone to go through this lockdown? I know you live with your sister and
Yeah.
she is a pillar of support for you. But you also are a migrant somewhere. Many of us are migrants in this city, in this big city. So how was it tougher?
After seeing the visuals I saw and the things that I got to know about the migrants that we were just talking about, I really don't think there was it in comparison to that, there was any sort of misery whatsoever. I had my sister with me. I was continuously in touch with my parents who were back in Delhi in their own house, totally safe and at comfort. So I don't think I felt anything discomforting at a personal level compared to what all I saw. So I didn't even think of discomfort in that way that I faced during this lockdown.
Since the time we last spoke, serious ideological differences have emerged within the industry, media playing a vital role, and Sushant's unfortunate demise playing the catalyst. How do you see this entire issue that has played out since then, leading to public spats and arrests?
Well, I was pretty much vocal at most of the stages when these things were happening. So I have presented my opinion pretty publicly and vocally about what I felt about all these things happening. As it is, at times were testing, and people were in weird zones of emotions. And obviously, the reaction towards a lot of things come out amplified than what it would have probably if you would have been in a normal state of life at that time. Understandable psychologically for a human being to go through those kind of bizarre ups and downs emotionally. But in all of this, what I found unfair and wrong was people trying to milk someone's death for their own personal benefits, where people wanted to satisfy their own personal agendas or grudges against people, using this sad demise of a talent of our industry as an opportunity to get their grudges across and amplify that over the incident, because it eventually became about them and their grudges than the actual incident. To begin with, not many could see, but then slowly and gradually, when कहते हैं ना झूठ के पैर नहीं होते हैं. So you can't go on with that lie thinking that it won't be exposed. So obviously, after some time, people realize that this is not what it began to be. And I guess people in the industry, a lot of them could see where it was going from the beginning itself and did vocalize and point it out from the very beginning. I'm glad that I think everyone almost knows now what it was and what it wasn't. What really another sad thing that happened was villainizing a girl for falling in love with this boy, and which was a mutual consent. Whatever they did in the relationship, whatever vice they had was a mutual consented vice. I mean, it was not like one was forcing anything upon the other. And how that girl was villainized publicly, and the physical torture, the mental torture, and till date you don't really have a proof against her for the kind of charges that she was accused of by the public. We were just on our lowest low as a society, I feel, during those days. And that's why things were just getting bad to worse whenever a testing accident or an incident came to the forefront. I think we really, really did put down humanity and sensibility during those times.
And in the process, we actually failed Sushant instead of
We
celebrating
did.
his work.
We
And
totally did. Like tomorrow, how will he be remembered? Will he actually be remembered for the films that he did and the brilliant work he did, or the kind of drama that certain people created out of after his demise? Will he be remembered for that madness that was provoked and evoked after that? So it's a question we all need to ask each other, and especially the audience, because we movie actors or celebrities are probably made by the audience, and you all are the ones who are watching this, probably, who create us and who make us and probably who take things away from us as well. So you need to be a little mindful of who are you vesting this power in whose
right.
hands are you vesting this power to affect the masses.
So moving on, you are a classic outsider who
Mm.
was accused by another outsider for trying to be close to certain power centers of Bollywood who you have hardly worked with. So how do you explain that? And why do you think you are singled out for these attacks? In fact, attacks happened even in last 24 hours and is actually quite funny. And I think at
Exactly.
some,
That's what it is. It is funny. That's what it has become now.
why are you being singled out like as the main opposition? So
I don't know because I think this answer is probably there's only one person who knows this answer because everyone else is pretty much clueless as to can be result of a lot of hallucinations, can be result of I don't know, can be result of any kind of personal issue in your head created by your own self because the kind of accusations put on me, I don't think anything stands the test of time. I mean, it doesn't it. I mean, it looks just so sad and so funny, as you said, to hear those kind of accusations because none of them really stand the test of time. I've not worked with any of those power centers, nor in my future filmography that's out there for
yeah.
people to see is consists of any of those. I'm not a person who's really spotted at any parties and get-togethers and gatherings. So I think it might be out of a lot of frustration also that you're not able to actually pin a single logical issue on me. That also might be a little frustrating. But I honestly don't know. When I don't know the reason where it's coming from, then you just become one out of those thousands of trolls on social media for me who I don't really bother about. It only disappoints you in the beginning because you have a certain different opinion about a person, but when it just keeps
Right.
happening redundantly, you just become so insignificant and irrelevant in the larger scheme of things that it just fails to affect you. So it has reached a point where it has become where I don't even have to say anything anymore about it. There are people mocking at it. So it's reached that level. So addressing it probably giving it relevance now, which I don't want to. It is just too irrelevant for me now.
Controversies apart, do you think the industry needs to introspect, take stock, and reboot?
Of course it does. And I want to ask which industry does not need to do that? Being in this industry, yes, I would want my industry to stop, reboot, relook, which I feel at certain level is happening. I'm not saying the thing's going to change upside down, but being
Right.
in the industry, I do see shift in the thinking of a lot of people. I'm not the most well connected person in the industry. Has not been I'm not really there in the social circle.
That's because you don't have time because you're always shooting.
Yeah, so I'm actually in touch with the people who I'm working with most of the times. So I can only talk basis that I do see a certain shift in the way people are thinking of moving ahead with the kind of work they want to do with the people they want to work with, which is brilliant, and the kind of even for that matter the kind of efforts they want to put in for a film in the future to make certain content, all that has started changing a little bit. I'm not saying it's going to be a upside down kind of a change effect that is going to happen. I'm not saying it's going to happen overnight and instantly, but there is some movement that I'm seeing, which is great. One step towards a positive direction should be appreciated.
The industry has picked up the threads and resumed shooting effectively in bubbles. And
Hmm.
you have been one of the busiest actors since shooting has resumed.
Hmm.
Explain a typical set today, the precautions and experiences.
To begin with, there are bubbles. So you are made to test. The entire crew cast is testing before they start shooting. And they
Okay.
test, if it's a long schedule, you get tested again in 2 weeks. And you get tested every time you start any kind of shoot, be it ad shoot, be it film shoot, be it any shoot. You're tested, and your entire staff, including your driver to your makeup people, the entire cast and crew is tested basically. And once you reach on set every day, there's a separate corner where there is this whole setup of safety and precaution kept, where your body temperature to your oxygen levels are tested, and you are sanitized from head to toe using certain gadgets, and then you are given a certain band on your hand that
Okay.
you've been tested and you've been sanitized properly, and then you enter the location, and you're only allowed to stay in that given periphery for the whole day, and only the people who have that band enter that periphery. And by end of the day, yeah, you can go back and the same drill repeats itself in the morning. And of course, on set, the entire crew wears a mask except the actors. Everyone's wearing a mask, and everyone's very mindful of washing their hands and sanitizing. There are a bunch of people whose job, they're newly appointed people on the set whose only job is to make sure to see if everyone's wearing mask, and just to keep a sanitizer handy for everyone anytime they would want, or just ask them after a couple of minutes to would you need to sanitize. So there are people who are dedicated, whose job is to do this now. The new set of people that are visible on the film set.
So how many times have you been tested so far since the resumption of
I've
shooting?
lost count. I
Right.
today morning I got tested again. On an average, I think I've been tested every week since last few months, because
Yeah.
I've not just because I was shooting. I've shot
Multiple.
films, I've shot films, I've shot a lot of ads. I have traveled quite a bit for my holiday purpose as well in between. So I've been before and after every flight I take, I'm tested. So I think I've lost count.
Talk about your under production movies, Rashmi Rocket and Loop Lapeta, the ones you have been running to shoot simultaneously.
Yeah, I've been just running. So they are in the last stages of shoot. Both have completed majority of their portions. I think now I'm gonna go for the last schedule of Rashmi, which is the last 10 days of Rashmi in Bhuj. And then after that, I go for the last schedule of Loop Lapeta in Goa. And I'll be done with Rashmi in Jan itself, and I'll be done with Loop Lapeta in Feb. So I'll finish both of these films very soon. And I've been running in both the films, but it's just so strange that they don't look like similar kind of
Right,
running
right,
at all, because
right,
one
right,
is a professional running where
right.
you're a sprinter, and it's almost like, though it's a fictional story, it'll give you a feel of someone's story, because that's how usually sports films are made. It looks like a biopic, but it's a fictional character. It's inspired from real events.
It's like Queen's Gambit.
Yeah, it'll give you a sports drama feel to it,
Right.
and you'll see me running professionally on a racetrack there. Whereas, in Loop, it's a comedy thriller, which I feel is going to be a very unique genre in itself, because we don't see that kind of genre that often in India, where thriller is only associated with intensity, action, murder mystery, and all of that. This is a comedy thriller, so it's going to be, and it's very millennial in its
Right.
the way it's written, and the
Right.
way the director is shooting it. It's just some crazy new things that we are introducing in terms of technicalities in the film, which I
Right.
think is a huge experiment of all kinds. They're two really, really diametrically opposite kind of films, just the
So,
common part being I'll be running in both of them.
so how much of the original Lola run is in this film and how much is changed?
If you ask me what is similar, I can tell you the similar people who have seen the original, which is classic, which
Right.
was really long back. So I don't think the millennials would have actually seen it, because when I got to know about it, I had to actually go and see it, because I've never been a movie buff while growing up. So for me, I had
Right.
to go and see what they want me to do.
Right.
So seeing that and what I'm doing today, the only thing common is that the girl has to save the guy's life by arranging some money,
Right.
and it happens over and over again for her. That these are the only things that's similar.
Okay.
Everything else has changed.
Great. We look forward to that.
Thanks.
Your fitness regimen for your sports fit body has gone viral. How tough was or is it to get in shape as an athlete for Rashmi Rocket, and what kind of effort did you put in?
Well, I think I can write probably a book on this now, what all I had gone through from Jan 2020 till December, Christmas 2020, because that's the time I was under training, if not physically, mentally, during those 5 months of lockdown, where I was just stagnant, sitting and don't know where do I resume my training from, when will the shoot happen. So I started training for this film while I was shooting for Haseen Dilruba in last year Jan, and every day the training went on for 2 hours around sunrise, actually before sunrise, and then I used to go for 12 hours of shoot shift, come back, sleep, get up again, and do the same drill every day. So that went on for 2.5 months, and then lockdown was called when I was just 2 weeks away from attaining that perfect body I needed. And then there was a huge question mark, and that was such a big disappointment for someone who has put in so much time and effort into attaining a body I'm not very familiar to. And then I had to start again when the lockdown started lifting. So it was, well, if you ask me how tough it was, all I'll say is every day I used to just thank my stars that I'm not doing this for real, and it's just for a film, and I don't have to do it for my whole life every single day, and this will have a last date very soon. I hats off to the athletes who do this every day. I've gone through the athletic injuries that they probably face every now and then, and they are painful as hell. And when you have time restrictions and you have to recover within a particular time because you have to go on shoot and you have to continue the training, that mental pressure that builds upon you to meet those ends, I don't know if in real I'll be able to take all that up if I was a real athlete. So hats off to all of them who do that. And for me, physically, I've never been an unfit person actually, in terms of regular level of fitness. But I'm one of those kinds who goes to gym and only uses a mat to work out, not the equipments as such. So
Right.
for me, equipments were very new to use, and the
Right.
kind
Right.
of weights that I lifted was insane, because I began like a novice, because I didn't really lift that much of weight. So it took me a couple of months to be able to lift some serious weights and come to a level of a body where your muscles actually pop up and show. And simultaneously I had to shoot for other films, and I was very stubborn on the fact that I will not take shortcuts, because I know this has been done before in the industry, and people do it for quick results, where you just take some steroids or certain kind of substances which are banned in sports, but you can use it for quick
Right.
results if you
Right.
want to, in
Right.
case of doing films. I have seen the kind of negative effects it has had on people around, and I've read and studied about it while I was prepping, getting ready to start training for Rashmi Rocket. So my first meeting with all my trainers, and I had told them very clearly that I will not use any of that, because I might not achieve the kind of result that we all would want to see in the limited time we have, but I really have a life to live beyond films, and I would want to keep myself healthy and at my fittest level best even after the film gets over.
What about the diet?
So I've been blessed with wonderful nutritionist Munmun Ganeriwal, who actually, apart from probably a few odd days, never really I felt that I'm deprived of good food. Yes, the sad part is I cannot have cheat meals. I don't have a
Right.
sweet tooth, so I don't miss sweets. I miss fried food because I'm more of that fried food eating person. So those were the only things that I was deprived of. But if you honestly ask me, all my meals had carbs. All my meals were like, regular homemade meals. There was rice I was eating rotis, I was eating dal, sabji, regular veggies, regular kind of non-veg, nothing roasted, boiled, grilled, all that was not there. People think that about dieting is all about, boiled, roasted stuff,
Giving
or
up. Yeah.
yeah, it was not. It was not. Honestly, I didn't feel like, oh, yeah, the restrictions that bothered me was, as I told you, my oil was very restricted. My salt was restricted after a certain point. These were the kind of restrictions, but they are not those which really, make you hate what you eat.
Right.
It was not
Right.
that. So it was
Right.
pretty smooth for that, if I compare to what I see people doing around me in the industry. So I'm very blessed to have these people who worked with me, who made sure I don't feel that bad.
So luckily, you are also headed into a sports biopic, Sabash Me
Yes,
Too, after
yes,
this. So I think
yes.
I'm sure it's going to help, because that's again a sports
Oh yeah, yeah,
biopic where
it
you need to
does.
be super fit.
Yes, yes. So my fitness will be taken care of. I don't have to train separately for that, thankfully,
Right.
because it starts immediately after. My training starts immediately after. For Shabash Mithu, unlike Rashmi, where I had to show a certain kind of body, because
Yeah.
as a sprinter, you wear certain clothes where your body needs to
Right.
look a certain way. Unlike in cricket, where your body doesn't really show, but it's about the skill the skill set that you possess. So the fitness is already taken care of. So now I have to just work on my skill set, which will be, very good, because I love to learn new things. And there are times like, I've done films like Surma only to be able to play hockey. So this one, I really feel blessed, because as I always keep saying, that not everybody gets a chance to play an iconic player like Mithali, who's there, who's playing right now, who's still there, and he's changed the whole scene of women's cricket for India. So I think I'm really lucky to be chosen to play her character.
You are clearly redefining the role of women in Hindi movies. Rather than being a part of huge commercial setup where you play second fiddle to the leading man, you have chosen to be the main lead in women-centric movies. Are you happy where Bollywood stands today, and do you feel satisfied playing a significant role in narrowing the gender pay inequality that exists in our industry today?
I don't think I can answer for Bollywood. So your first part, if Bollywood is happy, I really don't know.
Are you happy where Bollywood stands today? Like, in the sense, is there enough women-centric roles happening?
There are a lot of them happening.
And do you feel happy that you have led this movement, being a part of it, leading from the front?
I've been a very happy part of it. I would be glad to say that. I can't say I'm leading it or I started it. I don't think I would want to take the credit of that. But yes, I am very, very proudly, happily a very good part of it. And I would continue to do so. There were times that I was really pushed and asked to do, the commercial, those films that you're talking about, where I play a second fiddle to a hero. And I was like, I really don't have a problem doing a lesser part, because, I'm someone whose claim to fame began with a film like Baby, where I had a 7 minutes role.
But Baby is history. You are no longer where Baby, you were in Baby.
Yeah. So obviously you have to evolve with every film. You can't just be stuck at a particular, but honestly, I still feel that if I can, my idea is my audience should remember me when they walk out of the theater. It shouldn't be like they could have done away by forgetting me. So that matters to me more than the length of the film, length of the role even now. But yes, as I said, that things have changed quite a bit in front of my eyes from where it began to what it is now. There are lots and lots. And it's not like only if you are a certain level of an actor with respect to your market value or with respect to the number of films you have done, only then you will get women centric films to do. No, if you really are ready to shoulder the responsibility, you will get a script which is led by a woman at any stage of your career today, which is brilliant, which was probably not there a couple of years back, 10 years back, when I started off in South, for that matter. So it has changed a lot. The pay gap is still huge. I'm not sure if I'll see that equating in my lifespan.
I don't think it's about equating, it's about narrowing the gap. And I think
directionally,
are you seeing a change?
Yes, it is. We are slow and steadily moving towards that. Very slow, but steady towards that, narrowing that gap and eventually coming equal. As I said, I'm not sure if I'll see it in my lifetime, but I'm sure if all of us who are working right now towards it don't give up and continue to do that, maybe the next generation will be able to see the equality. But yes, we are I think all the female actors today in the industry who are doing such films, we are all very hopeful and positive about it. It's that कहते हैं ना, खून लग जाता है मुंह पे. So we have all experienced that. What it is to lead a film, to tell a certain story with full authority and command, to be the protagonist of the film. So I think all of us are pretty hopeful and positive about things changing in the future for better.
OTT has been the savior in these days of lockdown with theaters being shut. Anything that you have seen over the months on OTT which you've really liked? And do we see you on an OTT anytime soon?
Of course, OTT was a savior for all of us. And for me, unfortunately or strangely, I'm a person who has a very little retention span when I see something on a smaller screen. It has been like that since I was a kid.
So on a smaller screen or any screen?
No, on a smaller screen.
Okay.
So
interesting.
I'm a theater going audience where you have to have blackouts, watch it as a group together, and then get into the world of that film and experience it. So I'm more of that audience. So when anything is happening at home, like when I'm watching something on the television, I get easily distracted. No matter how brilliant, I'm not at all questioning the content. It's just my retention span that's bad. In that case, for someone like me to actually get hooked on to things was very little compared to what everyone else would have seen.
But still, you may have liked something what you have seen.
I did see a lot of things. I did like a lot of things also. Like there were things that left a very long impact on me when I saw them. Like I was really sucked into when I saw Succession on OTT. I was really sucked into it. There was a season of Mrs. America that I saw. I was
Okay.
really for days it was ringing in my head. And then I saw all the OTT films that came out from our country, all of them. I love Ludo. I saw it recently.
Okay.
I really liked it. And so I've seen a lot of stuff. I've seen Schitt's Creek actually. Schitt's,
Okay.
when I saw
But that's a
Schitt's
long series. I mean, that's
I saw the entire series in all the seasons in lockdown, and you won't believe me. By the end, by the time I reached the last season, I was almost forcing myself not to watch more than one episode per day because it's gonna get over. And I really cried by the end of it. Like when I was watching the last few episodes, they were so emotional, and I was almost like thinking in my head, this is gonna get over, and I won't get to see any more of this. That was making me feel worse. Even that series got me way too attached to it.
so. We are coming towards the end of the interview. I will have a Jaldi 10 on Tapsi. So just give one short answer. Maybe
Okay.
one word, maybe few words. Sibling love,
Everything.
relationship status,
Happily committed.
favorite character played so far.
Can't choose.
You want to say a couple of them?
No, because it's most of them have taken a bit of me with them. I can't choose. Like a mother can't choose between the kids, I can't choose between my cats.
Fair enough. Thappad's main message.
Don't take relationship for granted.
First movie.
See, the first movie I signed was Articulum. First movie
That came out.
that released was Jhumandi Nadam. So there are two different movies
Okay.
that come in my head when I say that.
First Hindi movie.
Chashme Badur,
Comfort food.
Chole Bhature,
Favorite actor.
Robert Downey Jr.
I was just waiting. You took so long to answer that.
I was thinking, should I like say 2-3 names, only one name, so I have to select Robert Downey Jr.
And you've still not got your role in Avengers.
I still have not. I'm just shamelessly pitching myself everywhere.
Yeah. Favorite holiday destination.
Maldives.
If not WhatsApp, then what?
SMS.
You want to go back to SMS? Okay.
I don't mind.
Say a line or two from Pravasi.
हम तो बस प्रवासी हैं, क्या इस देश के वासी हैं? अगर हम नहीं हैं इंसान, तो मार दो, दे दो फरमान. खाने को तो कुछ ना मिल पाया, भूख लगी तो डंडा खाया, फासले तय किए हजारों मील के, कई साइकिल पर, कोई पैर नंगे, मरे कई भूख से और कई धूप से, पर हिम्मत ना टूटी बड़ों के झूठ से. बस से भेजकर, रेल से भेजकर, जान खो बैठे रास्ते भूलकर. यहाँ प्रतिमाओं की बड़ी है हस्ती, पर इंसानों की जान है सस्ती. बड़े सपने, अच्छे दिन बतलाए, पर भूख किसी की मिटा ना पाए. चाहिए ना भीख ना दान, बस ना छीनो आत्मसम्मान. हम तो बस प्रवासी हैं, क्या इस देश के वासी हैं?
Thanks, Tapsi, for talking to me on Teachers Glasses Presents Bollywood Talkies with Outlook.
Oh, my pleasure.
Stay safe, work hard, keep entertaining us, and see you soon.
See you soon. Thank you so much. But yes, as I said, that things have changed quite a bit in front of my eyes from where it began to what it is now. There are lots and lots. And it's not like only if you are a certain level of an actor with respect to your market value or with respect to the number of films you have done, only then you will get women-centric films to do. No, if you really are ready to shoulder the responsibility, you will get a script which is led by a woman at any stage of your career today, which is brilliant, which was probably not there a couple of years back, 10 years back when I started off in South, for that matter. So yeah, so it has changed a lot. The pay gap is still huge. I'm not sure if I'll see that equating in my lifespan.